All right. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Turf Wars with Chase and Josh. We got a pretty special episode today. We've got two of our friends, Mike and Matt, on for to join our series breaking down the draft classes for each division. Today, we're going to be covering the AFC East and the NFC East, and they are our local Buffalo fans from Buffalo. Mike's not representing, Matt is representing, but
Sir.
we're gonna
I didn't want to show my bias today.
yeah, he didn't want to show his bias, but we're just gonna jump right into it. Keep the series going. We're gonna start out with the AFC. They're gonna help us cover the AFC East and talk about their favorite team, Buffalo, and then get into the teams that they hate the most. So we'll just jump right into it, Josh, if you want to pull it up.
I got you.
So we're gonna talk about our favorite picks, our biggest steals, our least favorite picks. If any of these guys are going to compete for a spot, does this draft make the team better? And then, give our overall grade. So I'm really interested in this. The Bills specifically, because a lot of people talking about that first round pick. So, Matt, you want to go first with this?
Yeah, I mean, it kind of shocked us all, right?
Yeah.
We're watching the draft and, corners, and you have the runs on quarterbacks, and you're just hoping that one of these top receivers fall because ultimately Josh just needs help. Obviously you have Diggs, you have Davis, but who's really your third guy? So a lot of us, kind of thought that Jackson Smith-Njigba would be gone by the time we got to pick at 27. But we were kind of hopeful on maybe Zay Flowers falling or Jordan Addison. And then I think the Rams started around 18. And then it just four receivers in a row. So when it got to the Bills pick, in my mind, I wanted to trade back, get some capital, kind of like build out the roster that way. But when they came up, I mean, looking at the board, it was like, who are you going to get? I mean, so it's like,
Seriously.
obviously you moved up for what? Like you wanted to get in front of Dallas. Who is Dallas going to take? And if you thought about it that way, you're like, okay, it's going to be a tight end. Which tight end is it going to be? But it's a philosophy change, from Allen loves to throw to receivers, doesn't like throwing to tight ends. I mean, he doesn't even give Knox his dues currently. I feel like he should be more involved in the offense. But yeah, it was a little bit of a surprising pick, I would say.
I think it all depends on your opinion on Kincaid, because it's one of those, like, everybody talking about him. It's like it was either him or Meyer, or you got those other guys, but Kincaid is definitely the receiver of the group.
For sure.
He can line up a little bit on the line, but he's probably going to play a lot of that slot slash. They keep saying it's the flashes of a mini Kelsey, but it all depends on
Like a
your
wish.
opinion on him. Yeah, if you can get even remotely close to Kelsey on that offense. But what about you, Matt or Mike? What you thinking?
Man, I think the wide receiver ran started at pick 20. Me and Matt were texting. We're like, oh, we're looking good. I was a big Nolan Smith guy. He was on the board. And outside of that, there really wasn't much that I'd value to go round one. I mean, Osiris Torrance could have gone round one. So we'll get to him later. But Dalton Kincaid, I mean, 6'4", 246. He's going to be playing the F spot a little. We're going to put Knox back into Y. Beans antsy. He likes to move up in the draft. He did it for Allen. He did it for Edmonds. And you look back and I think it's the past 4 years, all the tight ends have been drafted first round. Not looking too good. But, what Matt said, we're going to switch our scheme up a little. If we do, this is a big hit. I mean, everyone's talking about it. Multiple people had this man going like 13 at Green Bay. A lot of people thought Dallas was going to take Michael Mayer, which I thought they were too, but I have a feeling Bean knows the inside scoop, wanted to get in front of him. What are you going to do it for? You're going to get the pass catching guy. I mean,
yep.
But they said he's not the best blocker, but he's not a liability, so that helps too. We have the young right tackle Spencer Brown, who's inconsistent to say the least.
Yeah.
So hopefully, pushing Knox in a little with him, and even Osiris Torrance on the other side of him, that's going to help our O line too. So it's not just for Josh Allen's passing and throwing; it's for the blocking too.
Well, for Kincaid, it's like there's not a lot of tight end. You'd rather your tight end come in with receiving skills and learn how to block than just a blocking tight end that can't catch yet, or run routes.
yeah.
This kid can run. I mean, there's a reason he shot up real quick over Mayer. Last year it was all Mayer, and then Kincaid, kind of hit the scene pretty quick. But so Josh, I'm gonna ask you, what's your favorite pick or biggest steal of this class?
That's what I think. My favorite pick's probably Osiris. I think he feels an immediate need. I think I like Kincaid as a player, but they just gave Dawson Knox that big contract before the start of last year. I feel like, Josh Downs would have been a sneaky pick for the Bills. They got they have Diggs and Gabriel Davis. I think you could have thrown Josh Downs in the slot and he'd have been really good. But I would kind of agree with Matt. If they were going to do that, I would have liked to trade down. But we ended up getting Downs in a third, so I mean, you never know. But I do like their draft. I mean, Kincaid's going to be good. It's just now, do you turn it over and give it to him, or do you keep going with Dawson Knox?
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to get rid of Knox. I mean, he's been such a prominent role in the offense already.
Yeah.
But it's like when you draft Kincaid, you're drafting him in the first round.
If Kincaid,
he's gonna
if
have
Kincaid
to get
turns
at least
out to be,
50.
if he turns out to be anything close to Kelsey, he's going to be your new number one. So
it's just you're gonna have
the
to
Patriots switching. The Patriots do 2 tight ends for years, and it's worked. So I mean, maybe that's the direction Buffalo's trying to go in.
Me and Matt were texting, and I'm like, "You do not move up for a tight end too." I was like, "They're not going tight end. What they do, they went tight end." So, in order to do this, you still have to switch up the scheme. I mean, you still can play 2 wide with 2 tight ends, 1 running back. We do have a fullback, but he's more of a hybrid fullback tight end role. So you just see what defenses throw at you. I mean, if they're going to throw that slot nickel in there, just throw it over the top. If they're going to throw linebacker, Kincaid get by them. So if our OC is smart enough, and we'll see if Ken Dorsey, learns from last year, good God, then this could be a sneaky good pick, or it could just be a waste of a first round.
Yep. So
I do think Jahmyr Gibbs would have been a sneaky pick to the Bills, but I don't think anyone had him going so early.
Oh man, not
I feel
all.
like if he was there when y'all picked, I felt like he'd be your starting running back day one.
So Matt, you're a Bama fan, right?
I am, but
so were you
gonna ask Mark on this one?
Were you hoping for Gibbs too?
No, I was team no running back.
He didn't want Bijan, man.
Yeah. I did not want Bijan either.
No,
y'all are Bills fans and you don't want running backs. What?
Y'all need a running back.
James Cook can do it, man.
Yeah,
that's fair. So
I just don't want to pay the asset and the money for a running back in the first round
pick, man. That's spending a lot on them, dude. But Matt, I'm gonna ask you, what's your least favorite pick of the draft?
This may change over the course of time, but I think my least favorite pick as of right now is probably going to be Dorian Williams. So there's a lot of what are they going to do on defense? As we know, Leslie Frazier has stepped away. It's going to be McDermott running the defense, and he is a little undersized. He's smaller than Edmonds. Where he came out of Tulane, it's a smaller school. It's a very small down defensive scheme. So Beans came out and said that he needs to learn the system. He needs to make sure he knows the plays and the calls and the reads before they could just throw him into the middle linebacker slot. That's just clearly a hole for the team. But he said something very interesting on a podcast. I think it was the Green Light podcast, where he said sometimes Edmonds was a mismatch where they would pull not Edmonds, but Taron Johnson, who was our slot corner. He would come into the box, and what teams would do is that they would motion guys out, taking Milano outside the box and Taron Johnson into the box, which would then lead up holes for the run game. Whereas he kind of wants this interchangeable, smaller, more versatile linebackers to fulfill this role that's inevitably missing. But it is kind of a stretch, like during the mock drafts and stuff, I had him maybe 4th, maybe 5th round. So taking him in the 3rd is kind of tough, but at the same time, you couldn't really trade up because we didn't have the capital.
Yeah.
And I think there was another small mini run on linebackers, at the beginning of the third round.
Definitely.
And I agree with Matt with everything he's saying there too. I mean, he has some really good upside, but Dorian Williams right there.
In the third round.
Two things are going to happen. He's going to have to switch positions. He's a weak side linebacker. He's going to have to go to Mike. We don't have a Mike, or he's going to sit behind an All-Pro. And anyone in Buffalo loves Milano. So this is we all shook our heads. We kind of waited for the beat reporters to come out, and they said some good stuff, some good good stuff to talk about. But in the Cotton Bowl, this man was defensive MVP. He had 17 tackles and a win over USC. He's a stat patter. He was the ninth most tackles in FBS football. So he's good, but I think me and Matt are going to be a little shaky at first. He's pretty much the same player we drafted third round last year. Why do we need two? We already have Matt Milano. That's pretty much three. But give us a couple years. He might come out, but right now he's definitely the least favorite pick.
I was gonna he's my second. I actually don't like Shorter. I wasn't a big fan of it. I thought you guys were definitely gonna go receiver third round where you went Williams. And I think if they would have passed on Williams in the third, they probably could have got him. Like, maybe if they traded up in the fourth or fifth, they got Shorter in the fifth. But guys like A.T. Perry from Wake Forest are still on the board. There's a lot of receivers in this draft, and Shorter I think he's Josh, if you want to click on him, I think he's a bigger body. But I'd say
Justin Shorter, he's big.
Yeah, he's huge.
6'4", 230. That's a big man. They gave him a 39 draft grade. But I don't know, just the other receivers that were in this draft, and you guys over with Kincaid being your first pick, you still needed a wide receiver in this draft, in my opinion. But if they're comfortable with Davis and Diggs, and Davis is a solid number two, I guess wide receiver is not as big of a need as.
And I think the main thing happened is when Josh's Colts over there took Josh Downs. I mean, because if we could pair Dalton Kincaid with a guy who's strictly slot like Josh Downs, I think Josh Downs had the most slot catches last year. I could be wrong in FBS. That would have been amazing. But I think Matt might even talk about this, but we have Khalil Shakir. He was a fifth rounder last year. He's working out with the Bills legend, Eric Moulds, currently, and everyone talks highly of him. So, yeah, we might have, two of the top guys from last year, but I think he's going to get the WR3. And then we also have two more new people. So Justin Shorter will probably fill out the 6 role. And I think that's why they went Dorian Williams 3, where they would have had Josh Downs. But I think Dorian Williams was picked 91. I mean, Downs was in the 70s, probably.
Gotcha. So Downs went before. I didn't even realize it. Downs,
I'm pretty sure.
I think we took him early third.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Or maybe middle third.
No one fell. Sure. And, Kincaid's going to be looked at either a receiver or tight end, depending on how the defensive coordinator is going to look at it. So that's probably why they went. And then Shorter, I mean, just to talk about him for a second, is we just signed Trent Sherfield, who's a blocking tall receiver. Shorter could take a spot next year. I think Sherfield's on a 1-year contract. So what he can do is be a cheap option for a replacement next year also.
Definitely.
You could play Naheem Hines maybe in the slot too. The Colts tried that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's not a terrible option. Like
I was really excited when y'all
traded. I think I agree with Matt on the Dorian Williams for the least favorite pick. They could have got Adebayo, who's still on the board. The Colts ended up taking him too, but you could have paired him with Ed Oliver, and he could play DN and D tackle to give him some flexibility on the D line. Probably would have liked that better, but I'm glad he did. I'm glad he fell to us.
Yeah, you mentioned D line. Our every tackle that we have on our team right now is only signed through the end of this year.
1 year.
Yeah.
Yep. And you guys just signed, is it Puna 4 just came to the Bills too?
Yep.
Which is that's my biggest the thing I hated most about the Bills draft is it wasn't addressed at all. I thought even in the second, which I think Osiris Torres was a good pick. I think he's going to start.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Yeah, me and Josh were texting. Josh was, he was.
I wanted him bad. bad.
My biggest downfall is not getting the D line, but overall, if you get 2 or 3 starters out of a draft, it's a pretty dang good draft. So, but opposite of that, or going back to that, who do you guys, Mike, we'll start with you. Who competes for a spot immediately, in your opinion?
I'm gonna go on a reach here. I'm gonna go Justin Shorter for the wide receiver 6 spot. So Kincaid's gonna be tight end 2. We'll just say that. I mean, with the upside of tight end 1, depending on how you look at it. Torrance, probably day 1 starter. I mean, he was arguably the best guard in this draft. So I'm going to go down to Justin Shorter for kind of the reason I just said. I mean, even though he's a 5th-round pick, he's an athletic freak. And, injuries derailed him. Inconsistent quarterback play derailed him, even if he's a number 4 pick for someone's team in here. He wasn't consistent. I mean, 54% accuracy? It's not going to help the receiver. Matt was looking up highlights, and it's like, all I hear is, why was that ball so short? Why was that ball so late? So Justin Short is just, reacting on the fly. And, with the injuries, you can see the potential upside, and you don't need him to play 100% of the snaps. So when you can get him at 6, he can block. I think next year he'll probably take over Sherfield's role. Sherfield's going to come in. He's going to help Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis was our blocking guy. I mean, he blocked better than Dawson Knox, so he would be the guy to come in the slot, take out the linebacker. I think this year they're going to move him, strictly out. Maybe sometimes in the slot, sometimes bringing in the block. But now that you have Kincaid, Knox, and then you have Trent Sherfield, that's going to take a lot of pressure off of Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis is going to blossom. Justin Shorter, I think, is come in.
Did y'all
play little?
Did y'all pay Gabe Davis? Have y'all
Not
paid
yet.
him yet or no?
No, he's on a contract
I mean,
here.
that'll be interesting to see if y'all.
Yeah.
Very much.
Big
Because
year.
I mean,
this year.
Big
he's
year
definitely a
coming
solid
up.
wide receiver, but it's like, what's his value? Like, I mean, how much are you going to pay him a year?
15 to 20.
It all depends.
Jeez,
Diggs, there's
20
been
for a
rumors.
wide receiver
Exactly.
too.
And that's why if y'all keep Diggs, I don't see y'all keeping Davis.
You
But
can't
there's
trade
been
Diggs.
kind of rumors. There's been
Diggs
rumors
has
he
a
wants to go to
a 26
Dallas.
million cap hit or something like that.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah, I think it's 36 mil.
But I don't think you could afford to pay Diggs 26 and Davis 20.
I mean, look at what the Bengals are about to do, man. They got to pay T. Higgins the same time they pay Gabe Davis and then pay
They
Jamar
haven't even
Chase.
paid Burrow yet either.
Exactly. They'll probably get rid of
Not to
Mixon.
mention the Chargers
Eventually,
have
they're
two
going to have to
$20
trade one of
receivers.
them.
Yeah, Chargers do have 20 million receivers. Well, Matt, this next one's for you. Does this draft make the team better?
Yes.
It does.
that's the simple
I
answer.
hope so.
Yeah.
Good God.
But no, I mean, we've all mentioned Kincaid. I mean, he's going to come in. He's going to at least get 50 to 60 targets. I mean, you're not, drafting him in the first round if he's not going to get those targets. Torrance, Mike said he's going to be a day 1 starter. They'll probably move off of Ryan Bates. He plays all 3 facets, plays tackle, guard, center. And eventually I think he's going to take over that of the center role after Mitch Morse is done. Dorian Williams, if he's not starting, in the first half of the season, I can totally see him picking up, more snaps the more the season goes along, kind of how James Cook was last year. Shorter, Mike mentioned he's going to be the 6th receiver, but personally, I think he's going to get more playing time in special teams. He'll be out there. He'll be a 3-phase special teamer right off the bat. That may also too. We've had Tywan Jones. It's just another roster spot as an extra running back on the team. Without Tywan, he comes in. He's not only your 6th receiver, but he's also saving another roster spot for having a special teamer.
Matt, isn't he like one of the best gunners on punt team?
Is.
I think coming out of FBS. Yeah, I mean that's nice just to
Dude,
have as your wide
that's
receiver
important,
6.
man. Those special teams so underrated when it comes to that type of stuff. You got guys that are elite at what they do. I mean, it can you can win or lose a game in the smallest plays. But
yeah.
I think something interesting to see would be if Kincaid is Kelsey. Now that's going out on a limb because I don't know how many dudes are Kelsey, but if he does turn into that, I could see the Bills trading Dawson Knox and then paying Gabe Davis. If Kincaid is that good,
I wouldn't be shocked if he gets an extension before the start of the season.
Yeah. Well,
Gabe Davis and the organization love him.
They love Gabe Davis, man.
I think he's good. Yeah,
you gotta. Gabe, if there's any way to keep him on the team, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. But we'll go. Josh, we'll let you go first. What's your overall grade? By the way,
I think
we are not giving out A's. Some of these dudes on CBS and ESPN, they're giving out A's left and right. Josh and we kind of said it last time. Like the A's are saved for the.
I think I'm gonna have 3. I think I'm gonna have 3 A's in the whole draft.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do an A plus, an A, and then an A minus. But I think the Bills are a solid B minus. I think they get 2 guaranteed starters. see what Dorian Williams turns into. And then, I mean, if you just had special teamers, the last three, if Shorter makes the roster, if he turns out to be pretty good, I mean, it could definitely go up. But
Yep.
I think it's a better than average draft.
Yeah, I'm sitting in that B minus range too. You got two starters out of it. Kincaid could be he could be an impact player more than we even know. He could really open up that offense. It all depends on your opinion on, what they're going to do with him. The player himself, if he's worth it, where they were, trading up to get him. I think the B minus range. I'm going to give it a B minus as well. Matt, how about you?
Actually, I have it slightly higher. I have a B plus,
Okay.
just because maybe it's we're hearing a little bit more from like the beat reporters and
Yeah.
all the Bills reporters, but I honestly think you're going to get 4 starters of any type of phase throughout the 6 players that they drafted.
Yeah.
Who knows what they'll be eventually down the road, but as I look at it right now, I can see 4 starters.
Gotcha. And Mike?
I swear, me imagine a talk, but I'm gonna go B plus too.
Yeah.
And, I mean, for the same reasons he said, but you also got to think we're one of the best teams in the league. I mean, people forget that we had 13 wins last year. That's with a UCL injury to one of the best quarterbacks in the league, playing 2 games in 8 days, mass shootings, you name it, worst thunderstorm, you name it. But when you're one of the best teams in the league, you're not trying to get 4, 5, 6 starters. What you want is 1, 2 starters probably, and then you got to fill in the rosters. And with Dorian Williams, he can play special teams as well. Justin Shorter, we've already talked about. I don't know how much you'll see of the bottom 2 guys, but with the top 2 guys being so dominant at their position where they were in college, with the upside, might have to switch the scheme a little. Even Osiris Torrance, he's a powerful guy. Between the gap runs and the zone runs, you might have to switch it up. But I'm going B plus because those top 2 are heavy dogs. The next 2 are special teamers, and I mean, not everyone could start on the Buffalo Bills right now. So
Fair enough. All right, well, let's move on to the next.
I do think the AFC definitely got harder with Rodgers coming over.
Dude, when they saw your hot take first,
I think their
they
roster
were
is
upset.
loaded. The Jets.
They were upset.
I think their roster is loaded.
do you drug test on this show? Because you're going to need to for Josh.
I'm telling you.
No,
I think the Jets minimum if Rodgers stays healthy the whole season, I think they win a minimum of 12.
Man, I heard that same thing last year for the Denver Broncos.
Rodgers is different than Russ.
No, I said from the very beginning. I said for probably the last 6-7 years that Russ is the most overrated quarterback in the league.
Josh called the Broncos bust last year.
What about that? Who was calling the plays last year for Russell Wilson?
Hackett.
Oh, God.
And who's calling the plays for Aaron Rodgers this year?
That's different.
Yeah, but Aaron Rodgers and Russ are not even in the same stratosphere.
Yeah, but who was his offense? Who was Rodgers' offensive coordinator in Green Bay?
LaFleur.
Before.
Still LaFleur. LaFleur was calling the shots. Hackett was the
OC. Rodgers is. You don't think Rodgers is going to contribute to the play calling too more than Russ probably would?
Rodgers is the OC. That's where
Randall Cobb's going out there, man.
Hey, we had the argument in the group chat yesterday, and y'all didn't respond. And I gave my Bills versus Jets, and the only thing I had the Bills better than the Jets position-wise was linebacker and safeties. That's it. O-line I had a wash, and QB I had a wash.
You had to wash that quarterback?
Yeah, I mean.
Did you not see Aaron Rodgers' stats last year?
It's Aaron Rodgers.
Look,
he's still Aaron Rodgers.
Y'all, this whether you're Bills fans or not, y'all have to admit this. If the Dolphins had Tua, they easily beat y'all in that playoff game. They should have beat you with Skylar Thompson. They should have beat you with Skylar Thompson.
Dog.
Josh, you're poking the bear.
Serious. I'm being serious. They won by like 2 points against Skylar Thompson.
And by the way, we're not Bills haters. You guys are Carolina North, so I pull for you guys outside of Carolina because I don't hate the Bills. Josh hates the Bills. I don't really hate the Bills. I just kind of
I don't hate the Bills. I hate the Patriots. I'm a Patriots hater.
Yeah, we're Patriot haters.
We can all agree on that.
Yeah, definitely, dude. Definitely.
But I will give the Patriots credit. I think Mac Jones is better than a lot of people think he is.
Good God, son.
I think
what are you doing?
They made the playoffs his rookie year And going into his sophomore season, they give him a defensive coordinator to call the offensive plays.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was messed
Like,
up.
I think that was pretty stupid.
Yeah.
Now he does
I
get his
will-
feedback from Bama, so
Yeah.
I
think
will
that'll
say
help, but-
I kind of agree with you in a sense. I think that his floor is a lot higher than some other people, but his ceiling is capped.
yeah.
Hell, it's so capped.
Yeah.
Like he's eventually going to evolve,
I
kind of
don't
like
think he
Jimmy
can
G
be much
kind of
better,
quarterback.
to be honest.
No,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're gonna reset the timer here, and we'll be right back. And we are back. And Josh, you said you had a final thought about the Bills?
Yeah, I think the biggest question for the Bills next season is going to be the defense. You know, with the defensive coordinator stepping down, I think, you know, it's the defense is going to determine how far they go. The offense is going to be fine. I mean, they're going to score points. But with a new play caller on the defensive side, I know McDermott's good. He was good in Carolina too, but change, you'll never know what can happen. So.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go to what team we're gonna do next? Dolphins.
Yeah.
All right. All righty. So let's they had a pretty quick draft. They would have
Terrible.
fared pretty well if they would have had that first round pick, but all the tampering and things going on that they messed around with. We're gonna start with Matt. We'll start with you, buddy. What was your favorite pick or biggest steal of these four?
I mean, it's tough, right? I mean, when you trade away your draft picks, when you have the whole scandal going on. Well, that's not really a scandal, but you forfeited a pick. I mean, at the end of the day, you did pick up Jalen Ramsey, so I mean, it's kind of worth it at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't know about favorite pick, but the favorite player out of their draft, I believe you pronounce it A-Chain. I could be wrong on that. Out of Texas A&M, super fast running back. Their running back group right now, I think it's Jeff Wilson and Raheem Mostert.
Yep.
Which it's kind of hard to rely on those guys. They always miss games. So he may be a very sneaky pick out of this draft.
Yeah, he fits the McDaniel mold for sure.
That's
Fast.
I saw somebody talking
Fast.
about like the week heading up to facing Miami. It's like you're gonna be running extra hills, extra sprints because you're gonna be busting your tail the whole dude. I mean, you're just chasing left and right the entire game. That is just speed. I'd like to see what the average 40 time or just average miles per hour in stat trackers for teams.
Yep.
The Dolphins have got to be number one on offense. It's but
3 of
I
the
like-
fastest offensive players in the league.
yeah.
Yeah.
5'9", 188. That is tiny, dude. My quarterback is almost the same size.
He's a player though. He can play.
Yeah, he can. He's
Yeah.
I think he fits in perfectly. I like that pick a lot too. What about you, Mike?
I'm going Cam Smith. The one thing about, A-Chain, I don't know if it's A-Chain or A-Chain. I mean, they have Mostert, who's the same guy. I mean, he's a little seasoned and very injury prone, and that's where I think this pick could potentially be good because I think he can have a lot of playing time if there's injuries. They also have Myles Gaskin, who had a decent year, 2-3 years ago. I mean, I'm not calling him anything fantastic, so I didn't see running back as a big need for them.
Yeah.
But mine is Cam Smith. I mean, at 6'1", 180, he'll develop into a quality starter. I don't know how soon. They've had a good back four. If I'm mistaken, I think Holland's a safety, but then now you have Ramsey. Can't think of who the other corner is, but I mean,
Xavier Howard.
Is
Yeah.
he a safety or a corner? I'm not sure, but
He
either way,
plays both, but he's a
corner.
corner mostly.
I mean, they've had some filthy DBs, and now you add Ramsey, you add Cam Smith. So I don't see, if this was a first round pick going corner, crazy. But I mean, for them, it practically is. And I think this is just a great value pick. So that's why I kind of think it's my biggest deal, my favorite pick, solely because I think they went straight off the board. Who's the best player? They didn't care what position it was, and they're like, you know what? Let's go Cam Smith. And when you play in a league with when you play Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, I'm not gonna Mac Jones. Okay, whatever. 6 times a year, you're going to need some people in the back 7. So good pick for Cam Smith, and I think he'll do pretty good there. Maybe not this year, but in the future.
Yeah, that was definitely a protection pick for they're not gonna be able to keep Ramsey and Howard on the team, maybe past this year. Who knows? But they I think it's a lot of people had him as a first round pick. Not everyone, but he was mocked there a lot. And he's, it's a protection pick. He gets to learn from 2 of the best corners in the league. And, with that size, he's a prototype, perfect corner. It was, like you said, best player available. Them not going all O-line we'll get into that, but
they need an offensive tackle.
They need it bad.
And a tight end. Let's be real.
I was actually
they signed the guard. They signed the guard from Dallas, didn't they?
McGovern.
We did.
Who am I?
Or y'all did?
The Bills did.
I was thinking they signed somebody. I don't know.
They still could have. I mean, there's multiple guards
still
from
some
Dallas.
people out there.
Yeah,
but but the tight end thing that gets me into my, Cam Smith's probably my favorite, favorite impact player that they drafted. But Josh, scroll down to the writers, Elijah Higgins. I'm pretty sure he's going to convert to a tight end for them. He's click on him and see what his. I can't remember.
They lost Gesicki too.
Yeah, they just lost Gesicki. Yeah, and I saw something.
He went to the Patriots.
They're really going to use him. I mean, at 235, man, they're going to try to convert him into the Dalton Kincaid type role where he's a route runner. Not much of a blocker, but is that down the seam, big body. You can't just put a 6 foot, 180-pound corner on him because he's a big dude. And if they end up, it's hard to say he's my favorite pick because Cam Smith's my favorite player that they picked, but if Elijah Higgins isn't working out at tight end, that's going to be pretty fun to watch. To add, pretty explosive guy into that offense that is already explosive. But Josh, what about you? What's your favorite pick?
Cam Smith was my favorite pick by far.
Yeah.
I agree with Mike. Everything Mike said. I think the upside for him, to sit back and learn behind Ramsey and Xavier Howard. I think this could be a steal. A couple years ago, they took Noah Igbenogany or whatever in the first round. I thought that was way reach. Just kind of makes up for it. But
yeah,
if you add Jalen Ramsey, to his draft class, because I think they traded a 4th round or a 5th round pick for him. I mean, tremendous value to get him for such a, wild card of a pick. But there has been rumors too that they're going to get Dalvin Cook. If they get Dalvin Cook, their offense is going to be scary.
That's going to be scary for sure.
But then, I mean, where does Achane come in then? I mean, that's 2 new running backs when you already have 3 people in there.
I think.
Yeah, I mean, just depth,
Wilson or Mostert gets cut. One of them's got to go.
But also, you're taking, there's too many mouths to feed there. I mean, I think as Bills fans, we kind of almost want Dalvin to go there. I'd rather him run the ball than throw it across the middle to Tyreek and let him run 60 yards.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not wishing on Tua, but if Tua does go down,
you're a Tua hater. Stop it. You are wishing it. You hate Tua. You hate him so much.
I'm not wishing he gets hurt.
Since the day he got drafted,
you can't say he's not injury prone. He's definitely injury prone.
Yeah.
He may be going to San Francisco. Tom Brady, that is.
I think if anywhere he gets to Miami.
I saw he might not do the Fox deal.
Yeah, he may pull out of Fox.
Yeah. He came out today and said that was fake news.
And I don't think Purdy's going to be ready at the beginning of the season. And they have Darnold, who supposedly is.
I saw a beat writer for the 49ers today said Sam Darnold could be the best passer the 49ers have ever had. And I laughed.
So bad.
However, I did laugh, but if Sam Darnold has to start the season and they start 5-2, I would not be surprised.
It's so
their
funny.
team's loaded.
And I'm on Twitter and I see Buccaneers fans getting hype over Baker Mayfield, and then I see 49ers getting hype over Darnold. I'm like, oh, I know the feeling. You're just trying to be so optimistic.
How about Andy Dalton starting day 1 for the Panthers?
They have to say that. They're not going to say Bryce is day 1.
They can say the number.
They're not going to say Bryce is stepping on the field right now because who knows? He might have to take 2 or 3 games. I think he's going to start.
He is the number 1 pick. He better be on the field.
He better.
If y'all start Andy Dalton week 1,
Dude,
Frank
Charlotte's gonna
gets the
riot.
boot after week 6.
It's not going to be good. If they put Andy Dalton on the field, it's not going to be good.
The streets in Charlotte, no
No.
one's gonna
But
go to
I'm
the
just
games.
saying, right now we're in May. They're not going to say yes, he's starting day one. They haven't even seen him throw a football in person yet. They're not going to say it. They might not believe what they're saying, but they're not just going to come out and be like, yeah, that's it. Like there's no competition. That's it. So, but I believe he's easily going to be the day one starter. But back to the Dolphins, man. Least favorite pick. I'll start out with this one, man. As much as I like Cam Smith, was Osiris Torrance on the board when they picked him? Because you guys get the 28th pick.
He was.
Torrance was 59.
Dude, taking the coin, like I know it was best player available, but
yeah, he was on the
having like you guys said, and I agree, arguably the best guard in the draft on the board at your first pick in the second round, and you go corner, it blew my mind. So I'm gonna say my least favorite pick is them not picking a guard right there that second round.
The Dolphins, they signed Connor Williams. That's who I was thinking
Williams. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, to answer the question, I would say I like A-Chain. I like him a lot, but for this specific team, I just, as much as they needed O-line, I can't believe they went corner and running back. So to answer the question would be A-Chain, but my least favorite is them not taking a guard in that second round. How about you, Matt?
I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. I know Mike and Josh are on the Cam Smith train, but no, I agree. I mean, not only is Osiris Torrance there too, but so is John Michael Schmitz.
Yeah,
either one of those guys would have been, a plug and play right off the bat.
Definitely. Josh, what about you, bud?
I was just gonna say, I mean, I hate to say Ryan Hayes just because he's they only took 4 people in the draft, but I will say this: if they end up trading for Dalvin Cook, then I'll say Agne was my least favorite because there was rumors for weeks before the draft that Miami's really been interested, in Cook. So if they knew they were eventually going to trade for him, then I do kind of see that as a waste in the third. They could.
And I don't think you're going to trade for Cook. I think Cook's going to get cut. So also keep that in mind. You can get him for dirt cheap, so he can come home.
What are the Vikings?
So I'm saying if they knew that their plan was to go after Cook, then I probably would have went a different route.
What do they gain from cutting Cook?
Money.
But they're also they're also getting a dead cap hit, right?
I'm sure it balances out. I mean, I saw if they don't trade him, then he'll probably get cut.
But is it worth saving $6 million or $8 million, whatever it might be? I mean,
I'd rather have him on my team.
I would too.
I would too. But maybe they know something. If he doesn't want to play there, then he doesn't want to play.
If he don't want to play, he has had injury concerns in the past, 3 years. But yeah, they must, they don't do it for no reason, obviously. But yeah, that Dolphins draft class, man. I guess we'll start with the grades. Mike, what's your grade for them? Oh no, wait, I skipped. Let's go. Do any of these guys compete for a spot?
I'm gonna go. We've talked about I'm going A-Chain, solely because of the injury-prone running back room they have, and Cam Smith is gonna compete for a spot. He's behind 2 All-Pros. A-Chain is behind 2 injury-prone people. So you plug him in, you put him on the field with Tyreek and Waddle. I don't see Higgins touching the field much. I mean, they already have 2-star receivers. And then their third one's like Cedric Wilson, right? I think they're paying like $11 million. I mean, you don't keep him on the bench. And I
they did just sign. They signed Berrios too.
Yeah, Braxton Berrios at the slot. So
he'll be a good slot. He's actually my cousin.
Yeah, dude, that's Josh's favorite player in the league, baby. Every time Berrios gets brought up in the news, it's like, that's my cousin.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
that's lit. But I can see Ryan Hayes starting maybe towards the end of the year or because of injuries because they need tackle help.
He's gonna have to compete for a spot. He's got no option.
I know you keep talking guard. I think they need more tackle, and I think that's why I'm just gonna go A-Chain compete for a spot early on. I think he'll get there before everyone else solely because of the competition. I mean, that's it. This is a terrible draft class, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like we said, they spent their fourth on Jalen Ramsey, so it's not like they're, they got some guys, but it's walking away with 4 guys at all is just not good. But Matt, does this draft make the team better?
It's tough to say, right? I mean, you're not, compared to some of these other teams, you're not getting day one starters. It's more of like your back end, role players, your backups. But with what they got, the amount of draft capital that they had, I mean, you're going to get some value out of it. I don't think it makes them significantly better now. But they did sign chosen Robbie Anderson as well, I believe.
Yep.
I could be mistaken on that, but you got him. You picked up, or Cedric Wilson was hurt last year, so you're getting him back. And then, the addition of Jalen Ramsey. So I think they did more in free agency than they did with the draft.
Yeah. Well, this is kind of the question of, does this make the team better? It's more of the, how much better does this make the team? Because it's every draft you're gaining players that are the best players in college football. It should help the team no matter what. Even if you have one pick, it's going to help the team. So that's how I'm going to frame it on the next ones, is how much better does this make the team?
There's no day one starters here. And I think that's why.
That's how that's where we get the grades from, is how many starters, how many day one starters or by week 10 starters are you getting? So Josh, if you want to start with the grades, man, what you got?
I think with Jalen Ramsey, it's still, I mean, you got 4 players. I'd probably have to give him a C-. But I do like Cam Smith, and I don't think any of the 4 will compete right away, if I'm being honest. I think, obviously if an injury happens, then who knows, but just day one roster, I don't think any compete. Yeah. And I think the lack of picks kind of hurts them on their overall draft grade.
Yep, I'm gonna give it a C, only because they were able to use one of these draft picks for Jalen Ramsey. But the amount of players, the positions they took, you just can't give it higher than a C. So, Matt, what about you, bud?
I agree. C it is.
Mike?
C-. And there's nothing special about this. Let's be real.
Yeah, this is pretty average to below average, for sure. All right, let's go to the favorite team, the Patriots. Oh Lord, dude, look, that's the most. We say it every year. It's the most Patriots draft ever. It's just boring. Yeah. It's just which this.
I think it was a great draft.
Wait, this
is a good draft.
So he takes some of these guys that teams. It's kind of like when, so like just for example, the Keon White. It's like he's a bull, but he has no technical skills. He's just a pure, just monster going after the quarterback. Doesn't really know what he's doing. But you got guys like that go to the Patriots, who go to one of the best defensive coaches of all time. And Bill Belichick, he's going to coach these guys up. So it's the Patriots, they can do whatever they want. And in 5 years, we'll look back and be like, we understand, they see things differently. So, Mike, we'll start with you, man. What's your favorite pick or favorite picks or, biggest steals?
Man, I know Matt's answer. It's going to be the same as mine. I'm guessing all 4 of us are going to be the same. It was Christian Gonzalez, man. I mean, he was slated a top 10 pick, and he kept falling. And we had me, Matt, and Jones were texting every pick we tried to guess, and it got to the point where it's just Gonzo, and we were just laughing. And I mean, he's so good. I mean, 6'1", 197. He's fast and controlling. He can play zone. He can play man. Great value, probably the best on the board at 17. I mean, as a Bills fan, we didn't look for corners. So I didn't really grade them all too well, but I liked him probably the best. And getting him at 17 with the defense they have now, you're going to be playing Aaron Rodgers twice a year, Josh Allen twice a year, Tua twice a year. You need someone back there, and I think this is just the perfect fit for Christian Gonzalez and for Patriots.
Well, they've gone from Revis to Gilmore to J.C. Jackson for a year or two. And now that, since J.C. Jackson a couple of years ago, they've been missing that lockdown, big body prototype, 6+ foot corner that has a 4.3, 4.4 speed. he was probably the best player on the board, depending on your view of the receivers, at like pick 12 or 13. I mean, he was. I'm totally with you. And they, did you guys see all the reports about how they traded the pick back? Because I think it was the Packers and the Jets switched, which left the Jets behind the Patriots. And the Patriots traded back just so the Steelers could come up and
with
pick
the Steelers.
Broderick Jones. Is that Broderick Jones?
Broderick Jones, best tackle
Because
probably.
they knew the Jets wanted him, man. That is some one ballsy. They obviously had some other players on the board that they were fine with, but the fact that they were able to do that and get Gazo, that was masterclass for sure.
That was beautiful. Yeah.
Josh, what's your favorite pick?
I think my favorite pick is Kayshon Boutte in the 6th.
Yes.
A year ago, he was projected to be a first-round draft pick. You can say he had some off-the-field stuff. You can say character. But, I mean, yeah, just talent-wise. Last year, he was a projected top 15 pick. Belichick, he's not afraid to get people with, off-the-field issues or stuff like that. I mean, Randy Moss, Antonio Brown. I mean, he's had some pretty wild players over the years. And, Boutte comes in and works hard. I think he could be a steal in the 6th round.
Couldn't have had a better team. Couldn't have had a better team for him to go to. That's kind of what I mean. Like with the Keon White, with the just gameplay things that he needs to learn. Boutte is like they're talking about all the off the field issues and the injuries. Is he could not have handpicked a better team for him to go to. The Patriots don't really care about it because they know Bill Belichick don't mess around with it. If you're gonna,
you're not gonna get treated like a star in New England.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody is. So
yeah.
There's no.
Yeah, I would agree. Boutte's up there. Just so I have a different answer than you, I actually like the Mapu pick, man. He's.
I was gonna. It was between him and Boutte.
A lot of people, it's kind of 50-50 on him whether you like him or not. I don't think he's as athletic as the Jeremy Chins or those type of guys in the safety linebacker role, but Mapu could turn into something pretty good for Belichick. He usually has that guy that kind of floats around the defense like that, and you get a young, fast kid, good size, everything coming in. I think he's going to be pretty fun to watch, and I think he competes pretty fast for a spot.
Belichick's wild card picks normally pan out.
Yeah,
a couple years ago, he drafted Kyle Duggar out of Lenore Ryan. Turned out to be pretty good.
Yeah.
Last year, he drafted Cole Strange.
Yeah.
He was decent.
I don't like the Cole Strange in the first round. It's still too much for me, dude.
No, I still don't know. I'm not saying I think he's a first-round talent, but he's going to be a good player.
He will be.
But it's just the value. It's the value that you're getting, though, because you could have, gotten someone better in the first round and still got Cole Strange in the second or third.
Yeah.
That's the part that you kind of got to weigh out.
Yeah. So Matt, what about you? What's your favorite pick or biggest steal?
Biggest steal and best pick. I mean, I got to go Christian Gonzalez, for all the reasons that Mike said. But I will throw this out there that during the draft, I thought this would have been a good spot for them to actually get Mac Jones help. So at the time, JSN is still on the board. They have not had the number one receiver. And, Mac Jones, his rookie year comes in, decent year. They make the playoffs, which is great for them, right? Coming off the whole Tom Brady era. And then second season, usually that's the quarterback takes the leap that second year. Well, in the second year, they didn't even give him an OC. So he's got a defensive coordinator calling the plays. He doesn't have a number one receiver. I like Jacoby Myers, but I don't think he's a true number one. And
he's in Oakland now too.
Yeah, I was about to say Myers is gone now, man.
Yes, I'm Juju.
Juju's the number one.
Yeah, but the AFC East is an arms race.
Yeah,
I mean you have Diggs and Davis, Waddle and Hill. You got Garrett Wilson and Lazard. I mean, Lazard's not the top tier is like a Waddle and Hill, but you're gonna have to score points in this division.
Lazard might be wide receiver 1 in New England.
Yeah,
that's saying something.
He might well be. I do think Juju had an underrated season last year. I will say.
I think Juju is a wider. He is not a wide receiver 1 though. They're kind of in the same boat of Panthers. It's like we got a bunch of wide receiver 2, but you just got to pray somebody breaks out because right now it's just you're throwing the guys that there's not one guy on the field that you're like, okay, he's gonna get open. And it's hard to find that guy, but when you're taking corners, when you're taking corners in the first round with the best, a receiver not even taken yet, it's kind of like the Patriots every year, though. Did we really expect them to take a receiver there? Because it's
no, and like that's the thing. It's like I would have never expected it. And to be honest with you, Gonzalez may be the biggest steal of the whole entire draft because of how far he fell.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of like that philosophy. It's like if you want to keep up with the big dogs in the AFC East, yet alone the whole AFC, it's like, when are you going to make that change in philosophy to just go offense?
Did they and they didn't even draft a running back. And their running backs is Damian Harris gone?
He's with
He's
us.
with the Bills.
Yeah, so Damian Harris is gone. So that leaves them with Ramondre, great running back. Don't get me wrong, but they
You
always
just look at the corners. You look at the corners that are in y'all's division too.
yeah.
Y'all have Diggs to go up against Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. The Jets have Garrett Wilson. Mecole Hardman's just a burner, and Alan Lazard. And then what's the other team in the division? Is the Dolphins. They have Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. You had
and Waddle.
You couldn't. I agree with you, Matt. It's not only their best pick, but could be the best pick of the first round value wise. I mean, it's
for sure.
Couldn't go wrong with it. But so we'll go now to least favorite pick. I'm gonna Josh, could you go
We might all have the same one right here.
could you go to the rounds?
Right here?
See the rounds right there? Yeah, the punter.
The what?
Obviously the punter.
This the kicker in the fourth round.
Kicker.
Place kicker.
That was a little crazy to me. And they traded
or
up.
you got
They
punter
traded up to get
in
him, by the way.
Round.
They traded up to get a kicker, which is in the fourth round. Which is
what if they come away with this draft with a Hall of Fame kicker and a Hall of Fame punter?
Well, do you remember Janikowski?
I mean, I doubt it. But
No, what was it? What was the kicker taking the first round?
Janikowski was a first round pick.
Yeah, they drafted Shane Was it Leckler, the punter?
Yeah, in the same draft.
In the same draft, they took the bet, arguably, two of the best punter kickers of all time in the same draft, which I don't know, in today's NFL is just, I mean, a little bit ridiculous. But you see the rounds in the top left, beside best available. So click on that for me. I'm thinking I should have looked this up before, but the center they took from Troy was, I think he was round.
It told you on that last screen.
Yeah, was it round 4? I know. I'm trying to see who was picked right after him, because we got Zavala.
He was fourth round.
Yeah, he was fourth round, like pick 5. So they took. So that's what it was.
Jake Andrews right there.
Yeah, right here.
5th round.
This may be me.
Barre was still on the board.
There was a lot of
DeJuan Jones was still on the board.
But for interior linemen, they took. Hold on. They took Ryland and Jake Andrews before Zavala, and he's a Panther, so I'm being a little bit biased, but Zavala he might come in and start immediately for the Panthers at left guard. That kid is, especially beside Icky, who's his college tackle. Jake Andrews is probably my least favorite pick, which it's the Patriots. They go from they how many linemen they drafted. They're probably going to get 2 starters out of it somehow, but with Zavala on the board and they took those 2 linemen before him, those are probably my least favorite picks. Outside of the kicker, outside of trading up for a kicker in the 4th. I'm going to go with Jake Andrews and Ryland. What about you, Mike?
I'm going 3rd round. Mapu. Strictly, I don't mind the place kicker, and I don't mind the punter. I mean, that's 2 starting on your 53-man roster. So you guys can bag on that all you want. I do see your point in positional value and who's drafted after him, but I'm going 3rd round here, linebacker, Sacramento State. One thing about him, he's very versatile, but he's not good to great at anything.
Yep.
It's 3rd round's a reach, especially when you have all these picks. I thought they're going to go maybe receiver here. I mean, my biggest steal is Booty. I mean, he's amazing. I'm surprised they got him at 6. I think they can definitely hone his skills in. And I don't know who was after Mapu here, but I didn't have him graded that high as an interior, really, I guess, Mike backer. But so that's my least favorite out of this, because I think this is overall good draft, and I think they could have bolstered something out of this, especially on the offense, considering the first 3 picks is defense. That's my least favorite.
Yeah. What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think they could have gotten Mapu a little bit later if they wanted. Especially with the amount of picks that they had. But I mean, Trent Simpson was available,
Yeah.
when they made that pick.
Yeah.
You mentioned running backs. I think Tanks Bigsby was available. I mean, Josh Downs was available if they wanted to help out, receiver. I feel like they could have gone in a different route with that third pick and then maybe taken Mapu a little bit later. So that'd probably be my least favorite pick.
Gotcha. Well, now I feel bad because I said he was my favorite pick, but that's okay.
You started that off. I was like, oh boy.
I mean, I guess I probably should have valued more of where he was picked over. I just like the player a lot, and I was actually hoping
That's
the
fine.
Panthers would take a flyer on him in the third or fourth. But yeah, I guess compared to the players there and the receivers there, everything like that, I get where you're coming from for sure. So, Josh,
I think my least favorite pick is not because of the player. I actually kind of like the player, but least favorite pick of the draft is Keon White. I kind of agree with Matt and Mike. They could have went receiver in the first round, but with Gonzalez on the board, just the upside, like Matt said, he was projected to be a top 10 pick. I mean, he's a steal at 17. But in the second round, you could have added Josh Downs right here. Like we've talked about, they need to have weapons. I feel like their defensive line's not that bad. They have Judon. Judon's really good. They took Barmore in the first round of either last year or the year before. And this is kind of like a luxury pick to take Deion White in the second round. But you had Downs in there. He immediately is your Julian Edelman. I mean, Wes Welker, he's going to play that role.
Downs
and he'd
is gonna
probably
be
be
a
really
baller.
good.
Everyone who passed on Downs is going to regret it.
for sure.
Yep.
So,
but I do like Keon White as a player, but I just think they could have went offense.
So let's we'll lump the next two questions just because we're gonna have to hit the refresh button here in a second. Matt, who competes for a spot, or does this draft? How much better does this draft make the team? With how many players might start day one or might start at some point in the season.
I think it makes them significantly better. I mean, you're adding a top 5 pick, Gonzalez. Keon White. I mean, obviously they have Judon, but they don't really have anybody that's solidified the other side. So, it could free him up quite a bit. Even if he's not the most athletic, he doesn't have the bend, like some of the other, like a Will McDonald or a Nolan Smith. But, Mapu, he's going to get some playing time. But I mean, the sheer depth out of this, Josh is talking about Butte down in the 6th round. I mean, he should be going a lot higher than that. That's a great value pick. I mean, overall, it's going to make them significantly better from where they were last year.
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Butte was talked about Jamar Chase level. I mean, they were talking. He holds the SEC record for most receiving yards in a game, like all time. I mean, it's some record like that, and it's the off the field stuff took him down, injuries. It's legitimate reasons that he fell, but as far as he did, I couldn't believe it either.
Quarterbacks too.
I do think.
I mean, you had Jefferson and Chase, and then Butte.
Yeah.
I do think he does have to kind of be careful because
savior of the Carolina Panthers.
If Butte goes in there and does anything similar to what Antonio Brown did, I mean, he's not even going to make the roster. I think that's why he fell. But I mean, I don't see that happening. He probably got a chip on his shoulder. Now he went in the 6th round 2 years ago. He's talked about being a top 10 pick.
Definitely,
I think it's great value in the 6th. But.
Amazing.
So let's go. Let's just because of time reasons, let's go ahead and do our grades for this one. Josh, what you got?
I'm giving them a B+. I like their draft a lot.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give it a flat B. I think, depending on Butte, I know it's the Patriots, they're never gonna do it, but not getting with your first 3 picks going defense as much as they need help on offense, and their quarterback is Mac Jones or Bailey Zappi, however that works out. Like you needed to add some more weapons, and Butte might help, but no running back. They've got Hunter Henry, but wide receiver.
And Gesicki.
And Gesicki now. I just thought they needed some more speed on the offense, and they didn't address it. But what about you, Mike?
B. I wanted to give them almost like an A minus, B plus, because I mean, you have a solidified day one starting cornerback. Keon White at edge, I think, is gonna get a lot of playing time. Good rotation. I think they do have a good second defensive end. I can't think of his name, but I think he at least killed the Bills, and maybe that's not saying much, but so we'll just say like two practically day one starters there. Booty, I think, is pretty much gonna be a day one starter, and then you have a kicker and punter. I mean, if those two make the roster, that's obvious day one starter. So that's 5, arguable. We'll say 3 to 5. So that's what got them at least a B plus, a B. But since there's no offensive players really there, unless you count a 6-round receiver, which I like a lot, but it is a 6-round receiver, I'm gonna stick with B.
And Matt, what you got, man?
Yeah, Josh Uche was that guy, by the way, the defensive end.
I knew it was someone.
Yeah, I think a B is a good grade for them. They've obviously made some upgrades, but I don't think you can go too much higher with that. Just for what you guys have said already, you just gotta do something on offense. You can't just sit back and choose defense. Round after round after round. Eventually, it's gonna catch up to you in the long run. But definitely. I like the players they drafted and the value that they got, so I'm gonna go with B.
All right. We're gonna hit the refresh button here one more time, and then we'll get into the Jets. And we're back. We're on the last team of the AFC East, the New York Jets. Josh, we'll let you start off with this one, man. What's your favorite or biggest steal for this draft?
Favorite pick was Joe Tippmann. I think he's going to be solid for him.
Yeah.
He may not start this year at center, but even if he doesn't, I mean, he can play some guard too. But the Jets have really had a problem over the last couple of years with just staying healthy on the O-line. And I think, if someone goes down, he walks in and they're just fine. Yeah.
And bringing in Rodgers, you got to protect him. He's pushing 40. He's going to get injured. He's still just as good as he was a couple of years ago, I think, but as long as he's healthy and ready to roll. So solidifying that O-line. I'm going to agree with you on my favorite pick being Joe Tippmann, but my favorite steal is probably actually going to be the Zach Kuntz pick in the 7th.
That was my favorite steal too.
Dude, I was excited. I thought his athletic.
I thought he could have went in the 4th.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go way higher. His athletic, just because of the athletic profile, man. I saw someone saying, like, you give me a guy who's never ran a route in his life, but has that size and athletic profile, I'll take him in the 7th round all day long. I mean, there's not much else you can ask for out of a 7th round pick. So, but favorite pick, I agree with you, Josh, Joe Tippmann. What about you, Mike?
Guess what? Favorite Joe Tippmann, biggest steal, Zach Kuntz. You pretty much said it. I mean, Tippmann's arguably the best center in the class. I mean, you have John Michael Schmitz, who was there at the time, but and I think they got Elijah Veritucka last year too. Did he go there, or did he go to the Chargers?
No,
he
went to the Jets.
No, he's there.
Yeah. So those are two powerful dudes on the inside right there, and I know Veritucka can play outside and inside. But I mean, he's a stud. I mean, he's 6'6", 313. You don't see a center 6'6" much. So as long as you get the ball over him, he's a stud. And then the same thing you said for Zach Kuntz. He is 6'7", 255. And just like Josh, I thought he was going 4th, 5th, maybe 6th. He went 7th. There's not much else to add. You guys hit it all. 2 really good picks. And
didn't he run like a 4.5? Didn't he run like a 4.5 at that size?
It might have been high 4.5s.
I mean, I saw some great, like it was like a grading chart. He's arguably one of the greatest athletic profiles coming in as a tight end in the draft, like of all time.
Matt and I, used to do mock drafts and send it to each other, and he'd always be like the 6th or like 6th or 5th. Like, look at this steal, man! And they got him at 7.
Yeah, for sure. And you got Patriots taking kickers and punters.
But the 4th round.
What you got, bud?
Oh man, I mean, just to be different, because I'm all in agreement here with Tippmann and Kuntz, but Will McDonald's sneaky good pick here. I know they got Jermaine Johnson last year. He's shown some flashes. He's not all the way a polished player yet. But Will McDonald's fast. He flies off the edge, and he's very shifty and bendy, which, I mean, nowadays, to be bendy and to maneuver around these tackles is just crucial, especially if you have, Josh Allen escaping the pocket or Tua who just gets the ball out really quick. Like it can be a really, really good pick for them.
Yeah, I think I as much as I like him, a lot of guys had him like average was like pick 30 through 35. So I mean, he was a borderline first round guy.
Yep.
I'm actually going to disagree with, and he's probably going to be my least favorite pick.
He's my least favorite.
Not because I
My
dislike
least
him,
favorite too.
not because I dislike him, but it's because they lost Broderick Jones. I felt like it was a panic reach.
Yeah,
I almost felt like the trade where they swap picks with Green Bay was a little bit of a panic trade too, because it was like you didn't need to do that. I think the Packers kind of forced their hand. So I guess you can't call it a panic if it had to be done. But at pick 15, you could have taken Christian Gonzalez and paired him up with Sauce Garner and had in that division just lockdown. You could have taken a lineman. You could have taken. I know the receivers are nice, but putting in Jigba out there with Garrett Wilson would have been fun. As much as I like Will McDonald, I think he'll play okay. He's going to be behind. Is Carl Lawson still there?
They got John Franklin Myers too.
Yeah, they've got
Franklin
those guys.
Myers, great depth.
I mean, they've got a lot of players, man, that he's going to be competing behind. So it felt like a panic, but I do like the player. I think they could have tried to trade back.
The value is a little different for sure.
Yeah,
and I'll add on to that too. And I think we're all in agreement pretty much. But you said you could have got Kincaid, you could have got JSN, Zay Flowers. If you wanted an edge, Nolan Smith is there too. Nolan Smith can run block really good.
Yes, exactly.
I don't know how he felt.
Nolan Smith,
I thought he was top 10. I wanted him to Bills at 27. Obviously, it didn't happen. And if you needed a tackle, I mean, obviously Broderick Jones was their number one choice if Bill Belichick thinks that. It's Anton Harrison. I mean, he went down to the Jaguars. So, my one question here is, once you see the Patriots kind of screw you over, trade their pick, Broderick Jones is gone, what could you have gotten in a trade, like a trade back? All those people I've said, the first one was JSN at 20. So that's 5 spots. I'm sure someone would probably wanted a jump, maybe a team behind you or the 2 teams behind you. So, I don't know what they could have done, but it's going to be interesting to see what they did against what the Bills did. I mean, the Bills have 2 really good defensive ends. I think the Jets have really 2 good defensive ends. Bills went tight end, another option for their quarterback. What did the Jets do? They went defense at a defensive end, where now they have 3 good rotational, but where's the value? So it's going to be interesting to see where this comes back. But he's a good player. I mean, I do like the guy.
So Josh,
how much of this?
Click on the rounds again and just see who was picked right after him at pick 15. I just want to.
Forbes, Gonzalez, Campbell, Cansey.
Yeah.
And then you have the receiver run.
I mean, you had.
I can go ahead and add to that because I agree with everything Mike said, but I thought, all these years in Green Bay with Rodgers, Green Bay has refused to give him help in the first round. And I don't think Will McDonald competes for a starting job right away. I think, he's great depth. He's a luxury to have depth. I would have loved Michael Mayer right here for Rodgers.
I agree. I would have loved Kincaid.
But you could have traded back. You could have traded back and got him too, which I agree with what Mike and Matt both said. They could have got some value. But
how much of this do you think is Aaron Rodgers wanting "quote unquote" his guys? Because it did come out. Is that after the draft that they officially signed Randall Cobb?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So how much? I mean, they gave him a significant amount of money. I mean, he was getting. I think it's like a $3 million deal. It's not like a veteran minimum either.
That's a great point, but Josh's point's a tight end. I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with the tight end. You can't get Robert Tonyan. I'm pretty sure he's already signed somewhere. So I do like they could definitely gone tight end there and gave him a red zone threat for sure.
I thought this,
and maybe they would have liked Kincaid better. I don't know, but Kincaid or Meyer right there, because then you have Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Mecole Hardman. Those are just your top 3 dudes, and then you have Michael Mayer
their tight end right
running.
now.
And imagine Tyler Conklin. Imagine JSN though, right there, man. Those are two good tight ends. Imagine JSN in the slot with Garrett Wilson on the outside. Weren't they teammates?
It was purely panic.
I think it was a panic right there.
Yeah. Well, Josh, what's your I'm gonna lump them together again. Who do you think competes for a spot, whether it's day one, and how much better does this draft make the team?
I think the Will McDonald's obviously going to give him depth, and he'll rotate in. I mean, he's going to play, but I think day one I could see Tippmann maybe competing for a job.
Yeah, agreed.
And I think Zach Kuntz could, I think he could get some playing time too.
He could. The tight end's one of those positions, man.
I will say the Israel Abin Nikanda or whatever, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but I watched him play against Carolina this year, Pitt, and he had some good games.
Dude, he's a baller. I don't like the running back pick for them because of where they are, but he's a baller. That man can make a difference if he gets a shot. I like Michael Carter better. I still am. Breece Hall is Breece Hall.
But those as your top three running backs, you got Breece Hall, Michael Carter, and Israel. I mean, they have weapons all over the field. That's why
do they still have James Robinson?
Really good years.
Yeah, do they still?
I don't think so. But they have Bam Knight, who also ran for like 100 yards in a game.
NC State guy.
Yeah. That's the thing. All these teams that are competing now, they have weapons across the field, and that's why I think the Patriots are a lone man out in the division because they refuse to get back Jones' weapons.
Yeah. So
how long is Breece Hall out for?
He said when Rodgers got traded, he said his knee felt a lot better.
He tweeted, "I feel a lot better now, man." Dude, Zach has to feel like garbage, dude. Zach Wilson's just gotta feel like, do they keep him?
I think it'll definitely help him. Yeah, they'll keep him.
I mean, what else are they gonna do? But if he's already the team, I mean, the players don't like him. They're sitting here tweeting that kind of stuff, which is petty. It's like they're obviously tweeting it because they were not enjoying the last time. So, and they were balling out for Mike White, man. I mean, the team looked totally different with Zach Wilson on the field. So
the rumors are that Zach Wilson and Rodgers are kind of friends, though. And maybe Aaron gets in the building. Obviously Zach's gonna learn from Aaron. Maybe Aaron can kind of shift the team's attitude towards Zach Wilson differently.
Well,
Zach Wilson's not the star of the show anymore.
How to balance the douchiness, dude. He knows how to win. He knows when to be a douche and when to. All right, I need to chill out a little bit.
I'm sure once Aaron with them to these Knicks games. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is pulling up with Sauce Gardner next to Jessica Alba. Man.
Yeah, did you see that, man?
Hook your boy up.
Yeah, I saw
dude, he didn't even know. He didn't even know who Jessica Alba was, man.
That's a shame.
I mean, let's be real. Rodgers probably knows a lot of moms for Wilson.
Yeah, that's another point,
Just
man.
throw that out there.
But
I saw a tweet. Him and Rodgers are going to be in the same dating circles.
But do they, if you're the GM, if you're Douglas, are you keeping him in the locker room? I mean, what is he contributing? I mean, you're hoping to get 1 year out of Rodgers, but you might get 2 most. So
if you get 1 year out of Rodgers, though, you still could give it back to Zach for 1 more year to see if he learned anything with Rodgers there, and then that's his do or die.
Agreed.
Yeah. Which I think this team with Rodgers healthy, if Rodgers plays, 14 plus games, they can make a run. But and this team this team's loaded, man. I mean, this, it's kind of like,
I think they're a 13-win team.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Bills, like you guys said, to go with.
You got a wager, Josh?
Yeah, I have a couple
not shy away from wagers, dude.
I do.
What's on here? Like, I will bet the under on 13.
That's 13 is a high number. I give it 10.5.
I mean,
in this division,
I would bet. I was telling some people this other day, if I'm guaranteed Rodgers is healthy the whole year, I would go 13.
Oh, but, if I'm guaranteed Josh Allen healthy, I'm going 15. What is this?
I'll give you that if he stays healthy. I'll take the under.
Nah, I ain't doing that, man. I'm smart. You bet like your brother.
No, but
I win my bets.
Go back to the question of does anybody compete for a spot? Does this how much better does it make the team? It's kind of like the Bills, man. It's hard to compete for a spot. I think Tippmann could probably win that job and start day one. McDonald will compete for a spot in the rotation. Who knows? He could break out and immediately be an impact player. So, I to answer the question, it's like I said, same way with the Bills. It's hard to compete for a spot on a roster that's already almost complete. So it's like how much better could a draft make you? And because they took the flyer on Kuntz and Tittman probably will start. I think they did okay. They came out okay. What about you guys? What about you, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's a solid draft, to be honest with you. I mean, like you said, you're not going to fill in, 3 starting spots on these caliber of teams. I mean, Rodgers doesn't even need to be like MVP Rodgers. He just needs to be better than Zach Wilson. And this team is going to go a lot further than they did last year. So I mean, you're looking at this. I mean, you probably got 4 or 5 different guys who are just going to immediately help in depth, which is just crucial in the NFL. There's so many injuries these days. I mean, I think they got better personally. I think Abankanda is going to be a sneaky good pick, especially if Brees Hall isn't starting off the year, as RB1 if he's, taking fewer reps, getting ramped up, or if maybe he starts off on the pup list, who knows? But him, Michael Carter, Bam Knight, they do have a pretty good running back group. So I personally think it's a solid draft.
Yep.
I'd love to add on to what Matt just said, just for a quick second. He said, you look at what the team did last year with Zach Wilson, they almost made the playoffs. That's why I think Rodgers, pushes them. How many more games is Rodgers worth than Zach Wilson? If they won 7 last year with Zach Wilson, there was games where they would score his biggest controversy game last year was when they scored 1 field goal. Right after the game, a reporter asked him, is this only offense? And he said no. That's when he lost the locker room. That's everything. Rodgers isn't going to go in there and put up a 3-point game. It's not happening.
You sure about that?
He also had a thumb injury last year.
He's at least worth, yeah. That's why I think Rodgers is at least worth 4 more games than Zach Wilson at a bare minimum.
I
You
think
almost
the
take that
over-under-
rule though at 13.
I think the over-under should be
No,
set
I know.
10.5 in that division.
Oh, 10.5.
See,
That's
I'm
too
saying
hard
if
to
you
bet.
take-
No.
I'm saying if you take the 4, if I think Rodgers is absolutely without a doubt worth 4 more games than Zach Wilson, that automatically puts him at 11. And that's my bare minimum they win 11.
Let's also not forget here that Tua was out. I can't even tell you how many games, 6 or 7, and they still got above the Jets. I mean, the Patriots have Mac Jones. We don't have to go there. They're still above the Jets. And then the Bills, Josh Allen had a UCL injury that took Brock Purdy out for maybe this whole season. Still got past the Jets. I mean, he had 13 wins. So, I want to just hold your horses for the Jets. They are scary, especially on paper. But if I've learned one thing, you kind of have to prove it. And Aaron Rodgers is one of my favorite quarterbacks. I know this whole segment, people are gonna be like, "Oh, Mike hates Aaron Rodgers." Me and him have the same birthday. I love Aaron Rodgers on the field, like I do, and it just sucks that now I'm like, I'm all Josh Allen, not Aaron Rodgers. The Jets are a scary team, but 14 wins, 13 wins. My bad, Josh. Me and you can talk. I'm down with that.
Well, let's get into
it's realistic.
Let's get into the grades. Mike, what do you got for the grade?
Shoo. I got a B. Average. And the main reason is Zach Kuntz on the bottom there. And I also think that LSU cornerback right there, he might be able to get some playing time.
I was going to ask about him, man, because I don't know much about him.
He's not a flasher. You go in there, he's going to do the dirty work. He gets the job done. Nothing special, but at the same time, he can hold his own. I think that's just going to keep going. He has a lot to prove, a lot to critique and get better, and I think he will. You're not going to see him this year, maybe next year. And then I think that Carter Warren, offensive tackle, they need offensive tackle. What is it, Beckman? They didn't pick up his 5th-year option. He is like fluctuating weight, 30, 40, 50 pounds, I think. So Carter Warren might be a steal here at 3. We haven't talked about him, or at 4. We haven't talked about him at all this whole segment. And then the top 2. Those top 2 are heavy hitters. I like the players. The first one, I don't really like the value, but the second one, Joe Tittman, he's a dog. So I'm gonna stick with a B here.
Gotcha. Matt, what about you, bud?
Yeah, I think B is appropriate. It's a very solid draft, a lot of depth. we've mentioned Kuntz down at the bottom. You know, yeah, I'm big on Mbakonda from Pitt, so I like that pick a lot. The value for McDonald may not be the best, but I do think the talent is there for him. And yeah, I mean, there's no disputing Tittman. I think Tittman's probably one of the best deals of the second round.
Definitely. And Josh?
I think I go B minus. They could have these drafts could have looked a lot different if they'd have went JSN and one. I love the Tippmann pick, but then in the fourth, they could have got. I think Darnell Washington was still on the board.
He was at overall I think he was the 93rd pick.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I think
I still like the draft.
93rd.
I think that's third round, right?
I still like yeah. Or was it third?
Yeah, third round.
93. Oh, I got you. So he wasn't on the board. That's not bad.
No.
But I mean, I still like the draft. I like the running back out of Pitt. I like Zach Kuntz out of Old Dominion. But it's just I think it's gonna be hard for a lot of these guys to get significant playing time, and so that's probably why I go B bonus. But I overall I think it's pretty good.
I'm gonna agree with you, Josh. I'm gonna give it a B minus. Kuntz is the only reason it's keeping it up at the B range.
It was between C plus and B minus.
The Will McDonald pick really dropped it for me. If they could have, there would have been a team that would have given up a third to move up even 5 spots in the first. And there's a lot of value in that third. But it's the Will McDonald's the only thing that dropped it for me. Like I said, the kid could, he was a borderline first round mock, in the mocks and everything. So, what do we know? We're not the GMs, but just from everything that we've been, from watching and everything. I mean, it dropped it for me to a B minus. I think they could have recouped some picks or picked a better player there. But B minus is still a good draft. C is average. So I will give it, pretty good draft. So
before we hop off here, Josh, I just want to let you know how it's gonna go. It's gonna go Bills 1, Dolphins 2, Jets 3. Don't worry, they got better. I mean, hey, 4th to 3rd, watch out. And then Patriots 4. Mark my word.
I'll let you make the bet, whatever you want to do it.
I like 13. Let's do 13.
No, not even that. We don't have to do that. I'll take the Jets to win the division. As much, whatever the bet you want to make it.
Shoo, we can do that.
So the crown's going to be stripped. The crown's going to be stripped from the Bills.
For me, the division, I think it's going to go Jets, so they're going to run away with it. Then I think it's going to be a battle. Then I think it's going to be a. I think it's going to be a battle.
Mike and Matt, we framed this as a hot take in the first episode, so it's not a normal.
You did say bold take, but he's not saying bold take right now.
He is not.
I think it's going to be a battle for 2 with Buffalo and Miami.
Oh, but a runaway in number 1 now.
So here's a question for y'all. I
think Rodgers is that good.
We need to make a debate my take, series, because you guys will come on here and debate the Bills all day long. But would you say that the Dolphins and the Jets both have better rosters?
No. It's arguable.
Than the Bills?
Than the Bills. It's debatable, right?
Sure.
I don't think it's debatable.
But it's not.
I don't think it's not debatable. But I do think Allen's the best quarterback in the division.
I think, I say that they're a wash. I say that they're a wash, but just because it is Rodgers. But if I had to, gun to my head, I'm picking Allen over Rodgers. Only now, 2 years ago, obviously not. I think Rodgers is MVP back to back. So, but I think Rodgers still got the juice left. But I mean, I think Dolphins and Bills are pretty, overall grade wise of every position. They're right there together. But I think the Jets have the best roster in that division. Overall, defense, offense. I mean,
the only reason I'm kind of favoring the Dolphins right now is because of the defense. They added Jalen Ramsey. I think that's going to cause problems.
Is that what I mean?
Like I said, I think it's going to be a tough battle. If Tua gets hurt, it's obviously the Bills.
Chase,
Tua gets hurt.
Chase, write up multiple bets here for me, and then I'll come back.
We'll talk about it with Josh. I think outside of quarterback, I think the Dolphins have a better roster than the Bills.
Do you think the Jets
I think
receiving
Allen's
core
way better than Tua.
You think the Jets receiving core is better than the Dolphins and the Bills?
I think the Dolphins have the best receiving core.
Who do you think second in that league in receiving core in that division?
Depth wise, I think the Jets.
Oh,
Over
Y'all
the
have
Bills.
y'all have 2 star. Diggs is better than any wide receiver on the Jets as of right now. Garrett Wilson
Yes.
could make that leap. Mecole Hardman depth is better than the Bills'
We have
third best
not
receiver.
seen we have
What-
not seen Mecole Hardman not behind.
Who's the
Christopher
Bills?
Hill.
Who's the Bills' third receiver?
I'm a big Mecole guy, dude.
You
I
you
am
have
too.
what's Miko going to do? He
Diggs?
just left the best offense in the league.
But and he
He's
also
gonna be the third best receiver, burning him.
Burning him.
but he didn't even do that
Shoo.
for the Chiefs
yeah, because he's
what
behind
is
Kelsey
this?
and
on a
Hill the
regular
whole time.
basis.
The Chiefs are not unless you're Tyreek Hill or Kelsey, the Chiefs are not a place to go be a wide receiver one. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
not saying Mecole the wide receiver one,
the second receiver in the Jets is going to be Lazard because
Yeah.
Rodgers already has a
Yeah.
rapport with him.
But
Yes,
they're
he
both
does.
gonna be on
He
the,
is.
again.
Randall
they're both
Cobb.
gonna be on the outside. Mecole Hardman's gonna be your slant guy. He's gonna catch Mecole Hardman, book this, write it down. He's catching 60 balls this year.
So I guess it all comes down to if
Easily.
Diggs
Easily.
if Diggs is the Diggs that he can be, no question the Bills, because they have that alpha gonna get open number one. Not a lot of teams have that. So that's a big
Do you
deal.
think the Bills have a better receiving core than the Dolphins have? Legit.
Depth wise, yes. Top two, not a chance.
No, they have the top two. It's tough.
We're also not adding in Knox and Kincaid in that receiving core.
That's I'm including it all.
Yeah.
James Cook.
Knox,
Fair.
Kincaid, Davis, Shakir, Diggs, all around. You're telling me the Jets is better than that?
We'll need to
I
make this a
think the
different.
Now that you're
Jets
putting
have
it-
so
now that you're
much
putting it
depth.
that
I really
way.
do.
Now that you're
I'm
putting
not.
it that way, I don't.
I'm not trying to change it. I'm just trying to see how much he thinks Rodgers makes this team better.
I really, like
Rodgers
I said,
makes
I think
the team a lot better.
they should have made they could have very easily made the playoffs last year if Zach Wilson had his head tied onto his body. Now you add a top 3 quarterback in the league, and their roster is insane. The depth on offense that they're gonna have, it does depend on how healthy the offensive line can stay.
And
But,
Brees
I
I
mean,
think Rodgers is a top 3 quarterback right now.
Yes,
in the conference.
No, he said in the
in the
league.
NFL.
He's not even the best. He's not even
Who's
top 3
better?
in the
Name-
AFC.
I mean, I
Who's
don't think
better?
it's not crazy to say that. He's Aaron Rodgers.
Mahomes is the best in the league.
Mahomes, Burrow,
Allen,
Allen,
Burrow.
Hurts.
We're gonna have
Lawrence.
Allen's not
listen, we're
better.
gonna have a quarterback. That's what we're gonna do after these.
Allen's
events.
not better
We're gonna
than
have a
Aaron
quarterback
Rodgers.
episode. So if y'all want to come on and talk about the quarterbacks, we could do that too. So
Let us
Gladly.
know.
Yeah,
we're gonna
Let
say
us
we're
know.
gonna
I
say
think
the
before
quarterbacks.
the season starts, yeah, we're gonna rank them 1 through 32.
So
Do you hold on?
Lamar
Last
Jackson.
thing.
Justin
Last
Herbert.
thing. right here.
Do you think that Josh Allen regressed at all last year?
He had a UCL.
After
UCL.
after Dave, I think Dayball leaving is really gonna hurt him.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my
I
god.
mean, this is a whole other podcast, Chase. I tell you what.
Daniel Jones had his best year of his career.
And his
Listen,
stats
They
are
made
the
nothing
playoffs, beat
compared
the
to the other
Vikings in the
quarterbacks.
playoffs.
Josh, they have the savior Joe Brady. Okay, nothing matters. Joe Brady's gonna change the franchise. All right.
I know. I'm not saying Josh Allen's absolute garbage. Like he's still top 10 quarterback in the league. But if you look at
top
the
3.
statistics, including the
I was waiting
playoffs,
for
I think he got a little worse last year. I do.
Dude, look at his stats the first 9 weeks before the injury. Go look at him.
Yeah.
Pull it up, Mike.
But everyone plays through an injury. I will say Josh Allen.
That's an
he
elbow
turns the
injury on
ball
his
over.
throwing arm.
We'll see. He does turn the ball over though.
You got to remember,
he's
Josh.
turnover
You're
prone.
talking to Bills fans.
Yeah.
So you're
Y'all
not
lost the
you're
game.
not going to convince them that he's
No,
regressed.
I know. But if you look at it, you know, if you try to take that away, y'all blew the game, absolutely blew it against Minnesota. I mean, had it won. Just it's because of a Josh Allen fumble. It was a turnover.
Yeah, that's not the only reason, but that's fair. That's
fair.
fair. That's neither here nor there.
But
Well,
I
listen.
mean, he's still
We're gonna
still
have a
top
quarterback
quarterback.
episode. We're gonna have wager episodes. We're gonna do talking about fantasy. Y'all can come.
We're
on
gonna pick.
if you want. So
We're gonna pick the records. What we
Yeah,
think
we'll-
each team's gonna
we'll go
go.
division. Every division talking about records and predictions. So we will have when it comes to, especially to the wager episode. We'll have.
I will
some
say
things
this
going.
too: the AFC is unfairly loaded. The AFC, you're going to have Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Russell Wilson,
You're going to have
Aaron
two
Rodgers.
top 15 quarterbacks not
Aaron
making the
Rodgers.
Tua.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, two or three of those guys are not making the playoffs. You look, the NFC's a cakewalk.
playoffs.
I mean, Derek Carr, I could see the Saints being the third best team in the NFC next year.
Yep.
It's just the AFC is just.
It's
I
not
mean,
fair.
I think that's kind of why the Colts went Anthony Richardson because, if just upside, you're gonna have to have a stud to even compete. It's crazy.
All right, well, we're gonna wrap this one up, guys. We Mike, Matt, glad y'all came on, dude. It's fun.
Thanks for having us, man.
Y'all
Appreciate it, man.
Y'all can come on
I
whenever you want.
appreciate y'all boys coming on.
Sounds like I'm gonna win a lot of money through this podcast. So.
Yeah. But we'll you guys will definitely be on again if you want. And at the beginning of the episode, I said we were going to cover the NFC East as well, but this, with four guys, we all love talking about this. It goes by like that. So we're gonna probably push that into the next one. But like I said, appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thanks, man.